Hey everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota Zone 5A with a Labor Day garden tour. I didn't film last week. My sister had been in town. I had a week off, and then I was just super busy getting caught up at work and didn't have a lot of time to do updates. So here we are. Now it is Labor Day, officially September 1st. I love September. We all know what's coming. So it's kind of bittersweet, but we've had gorgeous weather this week. It cooled down. We had a dry spell, so some of the hydrangeas, you can kind of see when they get a little dry, the leaves look a little more flattened to the stems. I can tell definitely on my firelight hydrangeas and the ones in the back corner. But yeah, we might get some rain this week, so looking forward to that. But things had a chance to dry out, and I did do some transplanting, thankfully, as well. So things over here look great. I've had a lot of poles sticking up everywhere with the, what are these things? Dahlias. A lot of the arms are breaking off. I think the kittens are also climbing on some of the tall plants, all the feral kittens, and breaking off some of the arms. So I've just been reinforcing everything. Look at this gorgeous Manhattan Island dahlia. Isn't that cool? So beautiful. But anyway, I see I put this one upside down, pointy end up. There's a grasshopper sitting on the top of that one. So anyway, lost a few branches, but they're still blooming beautifully. My theory, I think these are all three cafe au lait dahlias. I think the ones in the shade, more shade, stay more of a creamy color versus the ones in the sun get that more lavender pink. Because I noticed on the same plant, there was one bloom in the front that's more like pinky lavender toned, like this one, and then one on that plant that is more in the back that stayed that like sort of creamy color. So that is my theory. Let me know if you're familiar with cafe au lait and whether that is correct. But I have been, the branches that cut off, I have been cutting some, or that fell down, I've been cutting some bouquets. So going well. I also noticed, I was hoping this would happen, the one that completely cracked off at the base and died off in that thunderstorm, there is a viable tuber that was left in the ground, and that is sprouting. So I may be able to save that tuber. We'll see. I don't have the best luck saving tubers, mainly because I'm so busy in the fall that I just don't get to them in time, or I'll dig them and then forget about them. So it's maybe about 50% of what I save lasts till the next year, and then storage is iffy. This one is Golden Scepter. Beautiful, bright gold color. The sun's kind of going in and out from clouds. I'm hoping we'll get some overcast here. This dark dahlia opened. I want to say it's Dark Horse, but now I don't remember. I had bought a couple dark ones years ago. This is the more peachy one. And then all the purslane is open right now this time of day. I did plant one of the, this is a trio of echinacea. I did plant the other trio over there. I've got some of the Doug strawberries to give away still. Mr. Bowling Ball arborvitae. I love this. I'm so glad I picked this one up on a whim. It was my last chance to order wholesale from my uncle before he retired and moved to Arizona. So I just got a whole bunch of stuff. Berries are now fully black on the chokeberry. This Aronia low scape mound hedger, really cool. Dark shiny berries. I think the wildlife eat them. I leave them up in the winter time, in the fall. This salvia, I'm debating, this is a self-seeded one. The original one I had started from seed. It's called Blue Victory. Not Victoria Blue, but Blue Victory, and it is perennial here. I dug out the original plant and gave it, actually 3 pieces of it, away to various people. But this one's self-seeded, so I let it grow. But I might put something in here that's a little more well-behaved. Or maybe just plant annual salvia there instead every year. But otherwise, this salvia, I love that blue sticking up above the Wicked Witch coleus, and then the chartreuse 4 o'clocks here. And now the Limelight Prime hydrangea has fully opened its blooms. We've had a lot of pink coming out in the hydrangeas because it's been so cool, like into the 50s at night. That is what triggers in paniculata hydrangeas. That is what triggers the color change from like cream or green, depending on what variety you have, to pink. And it doesn't matter the pH of the soil. They are color specific, meaning pH doesn't matter. They have a set color change. and that is the only thing they will do. But it is cool nighttime temperatures that trigger the pink to come out. So you can kind of see in the distance the fire lights they are the most bright pink raspberry color on their bloom. So we'll get over there. Love this Diascia, how it's kind of crawling out. This is the first year I planted Diascia, and I'm such a fan of it. So we've got the beautiful, this is the Rockin' Playin' the Blues Salvia. I've seen so many butterflies this year in my yard, probably more than I remember seeing any other year, including monarchs. I really need to learn to identify my butterflies. I don't know what most of them are other than maybe like a black swallowtail and a monarch. So I should get on that. I did cut back the goldenrod. It barely bloomed. I had planted some salvia from, they're kind of filling in now. They were looking real scraggly. They were from the flats. I got like a whole couple flats of annuals for $5 per flat. So some of the salvia is in there. So hopefully now that that's cut back, it got mildew really bad. Both of them did. You can see it's kind of sprouting from the base down there, but kind of a bummer because goldenrod's a great native and just blooms beautiful yellow. Anna's Magic Ball kind of tucked in there. Arborvitae, that one was new last year. Blue Suede Shoe Salvia. The juniper still looking okay. I should probably do another treatment of magnesium or Epsom salts in there. I am deadheading my all my echinacea patches a little bit because I still have time. That'll encourage new blooms to come up. I need to deadhead these. This is a Sunseekers Salmon variety. That one is newly planted this year. These two were planted last year. Another few weeks I'll deadhead and then I'll stop and I'll let everything go to seed, and the goldfinches love to eat the seeds. This already getting mildew, but this Veronica resprouted. I had cut that back. I did cut plant two annual pentas down there. Oh, look. And I'm going to get a third bloom on my peach drift rose. That one started opening. I did not deadhead the second bloom that happened early August, but it's all full of buds now, so that's exciting. As I was digging out these pentas, it's just supposed to be a simple 4-inch hole, and I ended up, each hole, there was a separate boulder at the bottom of each hole I was digging. So that turned into a bigger project than I had intended. But the lemon jade sedum over here, all budded up. Of course, sedum blooms in the, well, this sedum blooms in the fall. This most upright sedum, and I have a ground cover sedum there. That's one of the Sunseekers or Sun Sparkler. I don't recall which one. I got a bunch of them on clearance. And then this one's all budded up too. It's funny, this one is so huge back here. That's one plant. That is Night Embers sedum. And this one that gets more shaded out in the back is bigger than all the other ones. Behind that is a little lime hydrangea. Huge. And you can see how the leaves are all peeled back against the stem. That means it's thirsty. So I'll be glad to get some rain. We got like almost 5 inches of rain over the course of a weekend about 2 weeks ago, but that was the last we've had. Getting fresh blooms. This yarrow, I think, kind of suffered from the wet conditions. This is Noblessa yarrow. Noblessa is the variety. I think it's similar to Peter Cottontail. So I've been cutting it back, but I've cut out a lot more stems that are kind of browned out, which is not typical of this one. We also just had a really wet year in general. We can get in and deadhead some more of those echinacea back there too. This is a random hole that appeared. I don't recall if I had something that died out, but I'm looking for a Joe Pye weed. Typically that's a hardy hibiscus, kind of a short bloom this year. I know a lot of people in this area lost their hardy hibiscus. They didn't survive winter because this year was really rough this winter. Mine came back luckily. So I'm glad of that. This is very sheltered area. It's on the south side of the garage. So I do find that it's quite a warm microclimate back here. The two grasses that I have behind it are also really tipped over. I know the kittens have been playing in them. So I might get in there and try. Excuse me, allergies have also been going insane lately. I might get in there and try to stake those up. But yeah, it's kind of playtime for the kittens here behind the garage. They did catch a baby rabbit and devoured it, so, that was fun. But, that's their natural prey, so I guess as natural as can be. I am also going to move this coreopsis because it's just too small. That was at the front of the bed when I first planted it there, but now the bed has doubled. And this canna I will dig up and save the tubers along with all the ones in my pots. So I'm looking for some, I think I want to do Joe Pyeweed. I'm looking for more natives. And I have a lot of echinacea, so I'm thinking Joe Pyeweed and Leotris. Maybe I'll plant in here. Maybe another phlox, I don't know, we'll see. This is a mature Anna's Magic Ball, Arbovita down here. And then this is another little patch of the dark or night ember sedum. And the second bloom is finishing now on this phlox. So at this point, after the second bloom is when I can cut it back. And it will really brown out and get crispy. I've already cut some back already, but after the first bloom, don't cut back your phlox because it will bloom again from those same buds or that same bloom head. The aster here is starting to open. You can see little hints of blue flowers appearing. This wasn't labeled. I just knew it was an aster. I think it's woods blue. That would be my guess. This thing is monstrous. I mean, it says 18 inches tall and wide. This is easily 3 feet across, maybe 4 feet. And I trim it. This year I was kind of late to trim it. So I think after the 4th of July, I didn't do anything, but I keep it trimmed back too. But that keeps it from splitting open as well. But yeah, it'll just be covered in, I mean, every end of these branches is going to be covered in a blue flower. So it's very pretty. Little zinnia is doing good over here. This is my favorite Gomphrena. This one is called Carmine. Just really her QIS Carmine. QIS just stands for quality in seed. If you ever see that in any seeds, it stands for quality in seed, QIS. But anyway, this one, it has a very open branched habit. So you can plant it among other things and it kind of weaves in, and it's one of those see-through plants, as some might say. Couple zinnias. I got one bonus bloom on my Shasta daisy down here. That one is the Daisy May Aeroplane. And I have some all of the cosmos here are volunteers. The kittens have knocked over a whole lot of plants back here, playing and trying to climb them. I came out last weekend maybe, and everything was like laid down flat. Half of these cosmos were laid down flat and cracked off because they go and they just want to climb up everything because that's their nature. They're cats. They want to climb. They want to be up high. So I staked everything up and it's looking pretty ratty. I got one of the last blooms on the mighty chestnut daylily. Oh, there's a tiny little bee. Hi, bee. You can pollinate. So I did transplant some marigolds over here because it was looking pretty messy after those cosmos got knocked over. We'll see if that one survives. I planted 2 taller ones back there. I dug them out because they're seeding all over the vegetable garden. And then 2 shorter ones down here. So we'll see how they do. Usually they take a few days and then they perk up. Look at this. I was going to rip these out, but just look at that bloom. I couldn't do it, and it's all full of buds. So if these got knocked flat to the ground and didn't die, I can't rip them out now, even if they look real spindly. But this is a lesson too. If you plant cosmos, plant them behind things, because, and maybe it's just me, I don't know, let me know if you experience different, but the bottom, and I pull off some of the brown leaves, but all their fine ferny foliage turns all brown in like the bottom half. So I always try and plant them behind things, not as a front featured item. But that did give some more sunlight to the zinnias. We've got Queen Lime Red over here. It was kind of hidden behind things. We've got some straw flowers that really got hidden behind stuff. I should get out here. This one looks really cool though. This one has gone to seed. It's straw flower and it's all poofy. I could save the seeds, but I have like literally 1,000 seeds in each seed packet. They're huge. So we are entering now the marigold forest. Yes, I have a marigold forest this year, minus the few. This was all marigolds in here too, but those ones are the ones I dug out. And I did not plant any of the ones over here myself. They all self-seeded from plants that I had grown last summer. And they are taking over, and I have gotten stung because bees sleep on them, if I'm not careful. But yeah, you can see Gomphrena Carmine kind of poking up. I have a pepper plant back there that's getting engulfed. And I might move some of these because I also have a little planter that I made, or I might cut some of these back. But anyway, they're just cheerful plants. These two hanging baskets with the Americana dark red just have 3 geraniums in each one, are doing amazing. There's another plane. I got, they usually get budworms, and they might still. I have seen some signs of damage, but they're not being completely attacked yet this year. So fingers crossed my geraniums go unscathed. For the first time ever, the budworms are getting my petunias. But now they're recovering, so I don't know, whatever that means. These bags are what I grow my shallots in, and after I harvest the shallots, we don't really have enough growing season left. Maybe if I was with it enough to start fresh things ahead of time, like lettuce or something. I have done that before. I could fill these, but I'd rather just buy clearance annuals and fill them up with flowers, because I'm getting, you know, by this time of year, I'm getting kind of tired too. I don't want to have to care for so much in the garden. Debating whether I should try to overwinter this mandevilla. I might, or what's the D word that it actually is? It's a type of mandevilla. Starts with a D. I've been seeing some things online of people who overwinter them, so I might give that a shot. Otherwise, all this verbena, most everything that I have planted are all from 4-pack annuals. I used to plant a ton of 4-packs, 4-pack, 6-pack type things. That was most of my garden back in the day, especially when I had started out in my apartment just on my balcony, and they did awesome. They just require a little more maintenance, a little more deadheading, more trimming to keep them from getting stringy than like the Superbena from Proven Winners, but they're still beautiful. That was one I've always loved, verbena, and much more budget friendly, and that was my budget back then, was mostly 4-pack annuals. We've got zinnias, angelonia, and then a couple salvia that I popped in there that are starting to peak up. You can see my carrots. I plant flowers in amongst everything just because I just love flowers. I did cut back all the dead leaves from my zucchini, but they're still doing great. Normally I haven't seen any borer, well, there might be some borer damage, I'm not sure, but I didn't get squash bugs this year. Ended up with a lot of zucchini. I planted 5 plants, or 5 seeds, anticipating that at least 2 of them would die at some point, but they have not. So now I've got some female flowers and some male flowers, so I'll probably get a few more. But yeah, we've been eating zucchini. It's like every recipe, you just add zucchini to it. I've got 3 more lettuce in here. I'm hoping they head up. We still have at least a month left, unless we were to get a really early first frost. We typically don't get a first frost until mid-October. I think our average date is either October 5th or 15th, something like that. But yeah, I didn't have any seedlings ready to go, and garden centers aren't really selling short season vegetables ready to go anymore. So I just clearance stuff. I had those seedlings started ahead of time. We've got the witch's brew coleus. This one is just glorious. What a pretty plant. I'll be growing that again. And these are more of the marigolds that I transplanted. This is where I grew onions, so I transplanted those out of my raised beds when I harvested the onions. I have dill that comes up everywhere, and I don't, unless it's in the way when it's freshly sprouted, I don't like to cut it back because butterfly caterpillars live on it. And I have proof that they lay their eggs and the eggs hatch on them as well. Let me get through here. Yeah, I see caterpillars all the time eating the dill, butterfly caterpillars. But when I had to harvest my shallots, I cut back a whole row of dill. My friend took a bunch, and I had put it in a bucket and some water. I used some in an arrangement too, but I had put a bunch in a bucket and some water, intending to use it for pickling. But I didn't get to it, and I delayed. I was procrastinating bringing it out to the compost and cutting it up, and I'm glad I did, because all of a sudden I see the cats are interested in something, and it's a caterpillar, like a swallowtail caterpillar. So there must have been an egg, butterfly eggs somewhere on the or maybe even larvae, I don't know, somewhere on the dill that I cut and brought inside, and it turned into a caterpillar. So I brought that out here and put it on a different piece of dill, so hopefully it turned into a butterfly. We've got Victoria blue salvia, 3 rosemary in here. Got some hot and spicy oregano and Brigharten sage. And then some marigolds in this planter. I will be repeating this one next year because I absolutely love this year. I don't use enough herbs when they're fresh out of the garden. I need to try to do that more. I just love growing them and I love smelling them, and a lot of them freeze well or keep over the winter. Oregano often is hardy over the winter. This is also where I cut back these salvia that bloom early summer. I just plant clearance annuals in between. Did some cleanup over here. This is just gorgeous. This is a favorite view, the limelight hydrangea with the Sun King Aurelia and the iceberg alley sage leaf willow. Just the colors, that cool blue, green, chartreuse. My pop of red foliage over here is very wah-wah this year. Of course, it was heuchera berry smoothie. I had 3 of them and they were big and beautiful. This winter was really tough on heuchera, plus they're finicky anyways. You can see they're kind of resprouting, but I think I'm going to get another night ember sedum if I can find one on clearance to plant there. I did do transplanting over here. Got this done yesterday, thankfully, in the nice cool weather. So, can't really see it, but back I had, this is where this astilbe is now. I had a viburnum, all that glitters or all that glows viburnum. And it had really died back quite far this winter, so I'd cut it back hard. Those also get really eaten up by viburnum beetle. So I moved that. And then this astilbe was right there. I moved the astilbe over so that I could plant an upright yew. This is the Stonehenge skinny yew. You can kind of see it back there. It's very small. I'm a little bit worried about it because when I pulled it out of its pot, its root ball was not at all developed. I was a little bit alarmed. I got it wholesale, thankfully, from Gertens, but it was like alarmingly small for like it had just been potted up recently in the container. So fingers crossed that one makes it through the winter because it has a very small root system. Yeah, it was one of those things where I like tipped over the pot to pull it out and like half of it was just dirt with no roots at all. We've got a lady fern. I think this hosta I'm going to dig up and give away. Gertrude, that's coming to you if you're watching. But I love this lady fern, so I think I'm going to plant another one in there. I also have a hellebore and then a lungwort that's seeded itself. We have some crested surf ferns. I have one, and then this one got smushed. I don't know. I did cut back the Aurelia. I don't know if that's kind of what smushed it down. God dang, another plane, man. Yeah, so that one got smushed down. I don't know if it was maybe because of the branches from this Aurelia were covering it, but I've just been watering it. Also have a Jacob's ladder right here. Autumn frost hosta, that's the raspberry splash lungwort that seeded itself over there. This is the original plant. And then the geum, the red dragon geum that I planted, still throwing up bloom stalks. This is what I like about red geum. The 2 that I had that I lost this last winter to the cold did that as well. They just, if I kept deadheading, they kept putting out blooms. So, oh, by the way, I picked up another one at Lilydale Garden Center in St. Paul, if you're nearby in that area. They are doing 25% off all perennials right now. So, and then they have kind of different, and like fountains, they've got different categories on sale, but I picked up a couple perennials the other day. They have some good prices too. I think they're doing plant of the week where it's like buy one, get one free for a different category. This weekend it was hostas. I think that ends today, so you'll miss that if you haven't gotten it already. But I might go back and just see what else they have going on. So firelight hydrangeas just looking absolutely gorgeous. They just turn this deep raspberry pink. And it's funny, you can kind of see like what side is insulated. Like the ground facing side always stays lighter. And they're almost to the point that's perfect for picking. I did, because of the rain, and I planted, these are 2 new Helen von Stein lamb's ear here. But the branches of this hydrangea were draping all the way down to the ground. So I cut those and put them in a vase, and they'll look beautiful. But once the hydrangeas, for panicle hydrangeas anyway, once they feel kind of papery, we're getting close to there. That's when they're perfect stage for picking. Well, they'll hold the most color in their blooms. So yeah, just gorgeous color on these. They're so pretty. These are my favorite. I have 12 total hydrangeas. I want to say 5 different varieties. I would like to get more as I can find the space, but this one is definitely my favorite. 5, maybe 6 varieties. Oh, we have to go behind, so we'll come back to this. This is the Drops of Jupiter oregano, but I have a couple Aguilera Sky Blue ageratum. This is a salvia that blooms beautifully. I thought I would get more of a second bloom on it, but not so much. But that is gorgeous in the spring. This is an annual Coprosmia here that I popped in. I had a whole hedge of this Alexandria Brunnera, but they all died out. I've lost so many Brunnera in my garden, so I've given up. And then a pink blue lungwort that I planted this year in there. So that is why Deanna from Gardens Glory inspired me. Thank you, Deanna, to use the Helen von Stein lamb's ear. Because this can do sun and shade. It'll do well in either condition. I was going to split these, but I just didn't have the energy. I planted them while it was so hot and humid. But they were on clearance, so that's okay. They'll spread too, and if I get more, I can dig them out and spread them out all the way around the bottom of this hydrangea. But yeah, that Brunnera is just so stunning. I love that silvery leaf color, and most of them died, which is a bummer. And I even replaced one, and that one died. Little lime hydrangea here, also draping down. They do get very weighted, and I should come and cut some more branches from the bottom here. That will kind of lift it up a little bit, but there's yet another plane. So this is what I did. Whatever. This is a clearance De Groot Spire. I am Groot arborvitae that I got for 10 bucks. So I planted it back here just to create more of a backdrop against the fence. You can see the grass was kind of long. I just weed whipped, but it's hard to control this grass, so that's going to be a battle. This was on clearance, and I'm debating whether I should just cut this back and let this one be the leader. I might do that. That is, I think, why it was on clearance, it was healthy, but otherwise that kind of shape was kind of weird. This is what I did with the All That Glitters, All That Glows viburnum. So I have one of each. They used to be sold separately. You would have an All That Glitters and an All That Glows, and you had to buy one of each in order for them to pollinate each other if you wanted flowers on your viburnum. So I got 2. One is this one here. Kind of see where the base of that one is. This was the one that was in the garden behind me that we just looked at. Because now they're sold with 2 shrubs in one pot, I thought, why not try to plant them together and see if that works. You can see how badly they get eaten up by viburnum beetle. The leaves are just full of holes. Neither of them gets a huge amount of sun back here, so they are kind of bare. I think what I'll do is I'll cut them both back really hard this year and just let them come up fresh for next year, and we'll see what happens. So, but otherwise we've got the North Pole arborvitae. We're starting to get some pink color here too on the strawberry daiquiri dogwood. Gets little pink along edges in the fall. This thing is gorgeous and just massive. You can peek. I keep forgetting that I planted these impatiens down here, but they're doing okay. All right, so walk back around. We'll go look at this garden. My beans are chaos right now. So I plant bush beans. I have the blue 247 or whatever it is, bush beans that I've been planting for years. I had to get a new seed packet this year because the old ones I tried germinating, they were too old. Nothing came up. So I planted 4 seeds. All 4 came up. Turns out one of them is a completely different variety of bean. It's a pole bean, and it has different actual beans on it too. They're like flat beans, and they're pretty good. The only thing is when they get big, they get strings in them. So I don't like them as much as the bush bean, and now this darn thing is, I didn't realize it until it was too late and already taken over. So I'm trying to train it up the pole. It's choking out some of my bush beans too, which I'm not happy about, but I'm getting lots of beans. They're still good. They're still tender. I just don't like the strings and the flat ones. But yeah, too late to put in a trellis, so I'm finding the tallest poles I can find over here. so they can train up there, I guess. Yep, here's another plane. So drops of Jupiter, oregano. It does get a little bare in the middle in the stems, but these blooms are just so pretty and lacy, and pollinators just go crazy for them. Got my little patch of self-seeded echinacea down there. The Millennium Allium are already out of bloom, pretty much. There's a few lingering, but not many. That's the only downfall of these plants. They would be the perfect perennial, in my opinion, if they bloomed for longer. The bloom is like 2, maybe 3 weeks long. That's it. They just go out so fast, which is why I won't plant them anywhere else at this point. More a whole hedge of the Aguilera Sky Blue Ageratum. This one did awesome. This is a Nepeta Persian something. It doesn't get enough sun here late in the season. It blooms beautifully early summer when everything else around it is small and the sun is higher, and it gets a lot of sunlight. But then later on, I trim it back, and then it's just kind of meh, and it's too short the rest of the season. So I'm going to give that away. And so Gertrude, let me know if you want that one. By the way, if you have a sunny spot for it. But I'm going to get rid of that one, and I'm going to look for something else to plant there that will do better. And actually, I might plant the GM that I got in that spot instead. Boom Chocolata Geranium, just looking magnificent, still throwing up bloom stalks. That's another one that blooms all summer. We got Snapdragons reblooming over here, and the Helenium now is in full bloom. I do want to plant another Helenium. I want some more late blooming stuff, so I might plant that in the garden behind me as well, where I have the weird hole. So maybe that's it. I'll get some dwarf drill pieweed, some Helenium, and some Leotris. And then all my pollinators will be happy. I will have to move this Coreopsis. This is Jethro Tull Coreopsis. I'll have to move it over once these Snapdragons, or maybe I'll do that in the spring, once these Snapdragons are done, because it's getting taken over by Boom Chocolata. You can see my messy grass trimmings here from trimming the edges. I'm not very good at it. Chocolate Chip Ajuga ground cover. We've got daylilies that are all done, more echinacea here, starting to go out now. I've got 2 quote-unquote annual mums that continue coming back, so they are at least marginally hardy here, but that's great late season color. And then my free phlox. I'm guessing this is just like a classic purple garden phlox because it self-seeded itself over here from somebody else's yard. But, you know, free plant, so yay. Waiting for more blooms to come up, hopefully soon, on this Stokes Aster. Beautiful blue color. But the Diasia over here, this one is a white one called Trinity Grace. White and kind of peachy pink tones in the blooms. This one kind of lulled a little bit mid-season in July. I did a little bit of deadheading, but I didn't do much. But now it has come back full force, so just be aware of that. I do need to trim my hosta blooms. I leave those up for the pollinators and for the beautiful fragrance in the garden. We've got a Halcyon Blue hosta, stained glass, and a June hosta back there. So it's getting to the point now where I can trim most of those blooms. Poor Hakanakloa macra this year. Does very well in the garden. This year it's not so spectacular. It's a little weighed down. I think maybe a little more rain will help perk it up a bit. But this one I feel like had a bit of a rough year. More annual verbena 4-packs that I popped in here because something happened to my Snapdragons. I think I just had a lot of issues with wilt because we had such a rainy summer. So just a mixed pack of verbena. I've got 2 autumn frost hosta being covered by the macra. Over here we have this beautiful, more of the Trinity Grace Diasia surrounding. I think I planted 9 total in this entire, between these 2 patches. And then this is a Persian Shield annual. I have 4 of those. Unfortunately, that doesn't come back. I wish it would. And then I have some foxglove that seed themselves in here. I love that combination of the white flowers with the pink purple Persian shield. And this gets kind of part sun. It's sun early in the day, shade for a period in the afternoon. It kind of goes back and forth between sun and shade as the sun moves across. So all of these things can handle part shade conditions, part sun, part shade, whatever you call it. So this gorgeous torchlight coleus, this beautiful, humongous beast of a coleus, I had planted 2 of them, one right there. The one over here, half the size of the big one, planted on the same day, same conditions, everything. And it kept wilting over and over. It would come out and it'd just be all wilted. So I'd water, but the soil was always already wet. So I pulled that. This is the Super Kapow Coral Phlox. Those were on sale at Home Depot. So I picked up one of those. I read up, it's supposed to have excellent mildew resistance. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, when I pulled that torchlight out, it was like half the root ball was missing. So I don't know, something went wrong there. Raspberry cream gomphrena, grown from seed. This is a favorite, gets a nice bushy shape. I also just popped in a bunch of, I have some hardy geranium, that's angelonia, zinnia. I just pop in things here and there, especially once everything goes to clearance. This patch has seen better days. Overall, it does very well here, though. Veronica, the Giles von Hees. They're all just prone to mildew, but I'll cut it back. It'll be fine. We've got these did really well for me. Plum pudding heuchera from Proven Winners. There are 3 angelonia that the torchlight is now kind of taking over. And then we've got a patch of Rudbeckia grown from seed. This is a mix between the Sahara, well, they're both seed mixes, Sahara mix and caramel mix. One of them, I've lost 2 of them to wilt now. Another of these opening act ultra pink phlox, that is a favorite. These just have bloomed all summer long, and they are fabulous. Got my little container of pink lemonade, 1 pink lemonade and 1 double pink, the new double pink one from Proven Winners, Calibrachoa, or Super Bells, as they call their line of Calibrachoa. Another view of the Rudbeckia patch. And then we've got the double play candy corn spirea over here. Another patch of, what are those things? Snapdragons. Popped in a verbena down here. More foxglove that self-seed. We have a couple Rudbeckia that seeded themselves in here from last year's plants. Love this lungwort. That one is Trevi Fountain lungwort. That gets huge, so just be warned. If you plant Trevi Fountain, it is a very large lungwort. Larger than any of the others I've grown. Fragrant Bouquet hosta still blooming. I leave those until the very last bloom is done because they smell so good. You can see a giant bumblebee going in there too. And the bees just absolutely love hosta blooms, the bumbles in particular. We've got slugs were pretty rough on very wet year, so I'm not surprised I have a lot of slug damage on my hostas. I don't bait for slugs. I probably could, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I just don't want to have to rebait all the time. Plus, it can be dangerous to other animals in the garden, so meh, I just deal with the damage. But we've got a wee hosta, Fragrant Bouquet. That is a white bleeding heart that goes dormant. We've got Ubika Blue Drinking Gourd and Striptease hosta over here. In this little patch, I also have some Heucherella down there. This is a Coleus Inferno. And then my Skyrocket Juniper, blue juniper. I'm loving that blue color, that icy blue over here. Absolutely beautiful. I've got 2 Henna Coleus. Would recommend this. I will plant those again. They got nice and large, didn't have any issues with them at all. Got the Sun King Aurelia. This I have sort of planted with the intent that it takes over the spot where the bleeding heart dies back later in the season. These poor Calamagrostis overdam are looking rough. I'm sure they'll be fine for next year, but they were I transplanted them kind of end of June, early July maybe, I think, or maybe it was mid-July. So they're not too happy this year, but I think they'll be fine. We've got a Mrs. Moon lungwort. This is all new. We've got another North Pole arborvitae. This is still doing good. This is my one little strand of grass on my Hydrangea. Hopefully this comes back next year. That was a clearance plant. This is the Aurea, or no, all gold Hydrangea. Super clearance. And then, what is that one? Love Story hosta for purple winters. And then I had some extra elephant ear. This was all like overgrown, scrubby stuff up until this year. And then I've kind of cleared it out and mulched. And this is kind of what happens. Just be warned if you do the cardboard, like the no dig. I've done all different kinds of no dig mulching, no dig garden beds, because my entire yard was just grass. It was nothing but grass. There was not a single garden bed in this space when I moved in, when we bought the house. This fence, the fence pretty much all the way around the perimeter was completely overgrown. You can see some remnants of scrubby overgrown saplings. So the first year we had closed at the end of August, moved in end of October, was just cutting everything back and maintaining the lawn. And then just the front garden beds existed that had been landscaped professionally, I don't know, a number of years before we moved in. So I have just slowly cut all of this out from just grass. I have used the various no-dig methods. The easiest is for sure just covering whatever area with a tarp over the winter and just letting it die back. And then pulling up the tarp and planting your garden in the spring. For sure, it takes more time, you know. There's always a cost, and with that one, the cost is time. So it takes months for grass to be completely killed off, smothered by that method. I've used newspaper, compost, and mulch. I've used just cardboard and mulch. I've done where I've dug up the chunks of sod, flipped them over so the grass side is down, and then done cardboard and mulch over. Pretty much any method that isn't just smothering it with a tarp. Grass does still pop through a little bit. So that's what I have remnants over here. So just be warned. I am able to plant. It takes maybe a month or two for the cardboard to completely break down if you want to plant. And then that, as well as the grass, and there's always a mat of grass roots underneath everything. So if you want to plant quickly, probably the easiest method, what I have done in the past too, is I'll cut out the grass in a circle around where I'm going to plant. I plant my things and then I cardboard and mulch the rest of the grass surrounding it. This Joe Pye weed bone set was flopped completely to the ground from the rain. I think these just are prone to splitting open. So I did get some more plant supports and propped it up a little bit. Mainly, I just want to uncover my milkweed and the beautiful switchgrass that I have over here. Hey everybody, it's me. I am going to cut the video off here. It became very long, so I'm going to split this into 2 parts. So this is part 1, and I will be posting part 2 shortly. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Stay tuned for part 2.